Dạ chưa chị. Chúng ta ăn không phải. How are you, sir? Yes, I think I met you. Yes. Oh, yeah, thank you very much.
Trường hợp mà mình cần dùng restroom ở đây thì
However, I only decided to come 50 hours to be licensed. 50 hours. So how do you take an immigrant fresh off the boat on the plane, 90% student for 8 years, or Vietnamese is Canadian? They don't know how to sound like immigrant, but we want to teach them it's almost impossible to train them how to do that.
cổ điển buổi tối nếu ta muốn cho mình xã các cổ điển xin mời bà con, xin mời các cô các bác vào ghế ngồi để chúng ta bắt đầu chương trình. May I have your attention, please? Please have a seat so we can start our town meeting tonight. Xin mời tất cả quý vị ngồi xuống, trừ những người có nhiệm vụ lo về âm thanh rồi thì họ đứng lên ngồi xuống cho nó đẹp.
Dạ chị để đi cho mình lấy mình đọc. Dạ chị ngồi đó.
Kính thưa quý vị, kính thưa các bậc thầy trưởng có mặt ngày hôm nay, thay mặt cho ban tổ chức, đầu tiên thì chúng ta bao giờ cũng bắt đầu với lễ chào cờ, vì đó là một cái truyền thống của cộng đồng chúng ta. May I have your attention, please? On behalf of the planning team, the consideration, the Chamber of Commerce team, I would like to start our meeting tonight. As an unspoken tradition of the community, we always start with our national anthem. Are we ready? Please rise. That was great.
Last week.
the South Vietnam National Anthem. Sau đây là phút mặc niệm cho những vị đã hy sinh vì tổ quốc. Please take a moment in remembrance of the fallen heroes during the war to protect our country. Thank you. Kính thưa quý vị quan khách, em tên là Đặng Nguyên Đức, em thay mặt cho ban tổ chức và các anh chị trong hội Việt Next Generation đã cảm ơn quý vị đã bỏ ít thời giờ đã tới đây để chúng ta thảo luận về cái nhiều tắc là vấn đề đang rất là nóng bỏng trong những người sống ở vùng Fairfax này. Good evening, my name is Đức Giang. I represent all the good members of the Next Generation Foundation, and thank you very much, all of you, for taking your time to be here. And we have, before we move forward, I would like to thank all the community leaders and all the business owners, gentlemen, take your time to come here. And we also thank all the media in the community come to cover the event. And last but not least, all the friends and family, come here to support us. Without you, the meeting will not be possible. So we're gonna move forward with the agenda today. As you see, because of the traffic, we move the meeting starting from 7 to 7:15. So everything you see here will be like 15 minutes later. And so next, I'm going to introduce the representative from the Vietnamese American community here in Virginia, Mr. Đức.
Kính thưa quý vị, hôm nay tôi đại diện cho ông Đinh Hùng Cường, Chủ tịch Cộng đồng quan hệ đốn Virginia và Maryland. Rất hân hạnh được tới đây để dự cuộc hội thảo về vấn đề 4% thuế sẽ được áp dụng vào những thực phẩm đã chế biến sẵn. Trước khi vào vấn đề thì xin được cảm ơn tất cả quý vị trong Việt Next Generation ca ngợi sự nhiệt tình để bênh vực quyền lợi của đồng hương chúng ta. Sau đó xin cảm ơn tất cả báo chí, truyền thông. Vì có quý vị thì những tin tức, những thông tin sẽ được phổ biến rộng rãi trong cộng đồng. Thưa quý vị, vấn đề tăng 4% thuế trên thực phẩm và thức uống chế biến sẵn là một vấn đề đang gây tranh cãi, không những trong những người Việt, những người Mỹ gốc Việt chủ những cơ sở thương mại tại Fairfax County, mà còn cả ngay những cư dân bản xứ nữa. Chúng ta có hai nguồn tranh luận. Một bên thì cho rằng những số tiền do cái sự tăng thuế này sẽ giúp để sửa chữa xây cất trường học, cầu cống, đường xá. Nhưng một bên thì có tranh cãi là sẽ đưa gánh nặng đến những người trung lưu, những người tiểu thương và những người nghèo trong cộng đồng, trong quận Fairfax. Quý vị là những người sẽ quyết định. Quý vị sẽ quyết định là chúng ta có nên tăng thuế hay không nên tăng thuế. Và cái sự quyết định của quý vị sẽ được thực hiện ngày 8 tháng 11 này. Ngày 8 tháng 11 sắp tới đây, chúng ta không những chỉ đi để bầu cử chọn lấy một vị tổng thống, chọn lấy những dân biểu, những nghị sĩ, chọn lấy vị tổng thống đốc, mà chúng ta sẽ là người quyết định về những vấn đề quan trọng như vấn đề khí hậu, thay đổi môi trường và về vấn đề tăng thuế 4% trên những thực phẩm và thức uống đã chế biến sẵn. Về phía cộng đồng thì chúng tôi sẽ sẵn sàng hỗ trợ quý vị bằng cách chúng tôi sẽ liên lạc với đài truyền hình, truyền thanh và báo chí. Chúng tôi sẽ gấp rút tổ chức ít nhất là một cuộc nói chuyện trên đài truyền hình SVTN và trên đài truyền thanh radio hải ngoại. Và chúng tôi sẽ giải thích những ưu và khuyết điểm của dự luật tăng thuế 4% trên thức ăn và thức uống đã chế biến sẵn, để cho quý vị có thể chính là những người quyết định là tăng hay không tăng thuế. Một lần nữa xin cảm ơn quý vị và kính chúc quý vị một ngày vui vẻ.
Xin cảm ơn cô Bích Hằng. Thank you very much. Really nice speech. Because our schedules had been reduced due to the late start, so please watch your time. But I'll have the honor to introduce the next person. Dr. Thang Nguyen, he's a president and chairman of both people as well as to me and to many people here. Dr. Thang is a champion that showed great leadership for Vietnamese American, and his work is been go all over the world, and especially in Southeast Asia. So without further ado, may I introduce Dr. Thang.
Yeah, thank you, Đức Đặng, and everyone here, and especially the organizers. I truly would like to commend this effort and salute your taking the initiative to raise an issue that is very dear and close to the hearts of many Vietnamese Americans living in Northern Virginia, especially the small business owners. And this is very important. There's a saying that all politics is local, because we are living here and therefore we will be affected by policies that we made by someone out there. And if we don't have a voice now, then we would be the ones to be targeted and subjected to those policies. Therefore, we have to speak out in advance. However, many Vietnamese immigrants and refugees may not be able to raise their voice, to speak directly to policymakers. So they need people like the organizers here, like the Vietnamese community organization, to be the bridge in communication and deliver the messages to the policymakers. I know one person that I really respect, Norman Mineta. He is probably the only one, maybe one of the two, who served as a secretary in both a Republican and a Democratic administration, Norman Mineta. He used to say that either you are at the table or you're on the menu. We want to be at the table, right? So thank you very much for giving us all the opportunity to be at the table as decisions are being made. Now, with your permission, I'd like to address my fellow Vietnamese Americans in Vietnamese. Thưa quý vị, trước hết là tôi xin vô cùng tri ân và cảm kích đối với lại ban tổ chức. Đây là những khuôn mặt của thế hệ 1,5 ở tại Hoa Kỳ, và thế hệ 1,5 là thế hệ bản lề rất là quan trọng, bởi vì đã hòa nhập vào xã hội Mỹ nhưng mà vẫn còn rất gắn bó với lại cộng đồng Việt Nam của chúng ta và đất nước Việt Nam. Thành ra đây là cái thế hệ bản lề, cái thế hệ nhịp cầu. Nếu như chúng ta không làm được cái vai trò của thế hệ 1,5 đó thì e rằng sẽ quá trễ. Và tôi rất vui mừng thấy rằng thế hệ 1,5 đã bước ra. Chúng tôi để ý thấy rằng có những người như Bình ở đây, anh Đức và nhiều người nữa, anh Toàn vân vân, chị Tú, là những người đã bước ra để mà tạo được cái nhịp cầu giữa những người Việt của chúng ta sinh sống ở Hoa Kỳ, đặc biệt là những người không rành ngôn ngữ hoặc là quá bận rộn để mà theo dõi những vấn đề về chính sách, mà rồi cái chính sách được quyết định và ảnh hưởng đến mình. Đến lúc ấy đã quá trễ rồi. Thành ra chúng ta rất cần những cái người mà theo dõi, có cái năng lực ngôn ngữ, song ngữ và kể cả gọi là song văn hóa, tức là bicultural, để hiểu được cái tình cảnh, cái nguyện vọng, cái hoàn cảnh của người Việt chúng ta, mà đồng thời cũng rất là am tường cái hệ thống làm chính sách của Hoa Kỳ. Thì chúng tôi vô cùng là tri ân, và cũng như chị Bích Hà, chúng tôi cũng xin hứa rằng chúng tôi sẽ đứng đằng sau lưng của những người trẻ đang bước ra để lãnh đạo và yểm trợ, giúp đỡ cho đồng bào chúng ta ở cộng đồng này. Và khi một cộng đồng vững chãi thì đó cũng là cái nền móng để chúng ta thay đổi được Việt Nam. Bởi ở đây ai cũng thiết tha và ao ước một ngày nào đó 93 triệu dân đồng bào của chúng ta cũng đều được hưởng cái hạnh phúc, cái tự do và nhân phẩm như chúng ta đang được hưởng ở cái xứ sở này. Lần nữa xin vô cùng tri ân.
Well, the next item in the agenda is we're going to have a very brief presentation about the meal tax, what it is. We're not going to steal the show, and so we're just going to make it very brief and save the best for the next speaker. Mr. Nhan, you're going to go over your presentation.
Yeah, so I think most of you already know what the meals tax is. So it's very brief. I think it's in the brochure. So if you guys just take a look at the brochure. So most of this information is also on the Fairfax County website and the brochure as well. Yeah. So what is the meals tax? It's the additional 4% on top of your sales tax already, which I think is only 5%. 6%. Yeah, they varies to 6%. And it's on the ready-to-eat prepared meals and alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks accompanying the meal. It would not apply to groceries, but at the salad bar, all the already prepared food, the meals tax also applies to that. I know good wording on that is kind of difficult, but yeah.
Or you can eat places.
Yeah, or buffets, especially. I think Asians like buffets a lot. Alright, so this is the Vietnamese version. We'll come back to that. So all the exceptions. This is on the Fairfax County website. I'm just going to quick. Basically, all the well-intentioned good places, nonprofits, tax wouldn't apply. Vietnamese. Yeah. So this is going to be applied in Fairfax County, and all of there are some cities in Fairfax County that do not have this, and if it passed Fairfax County, the city councils will also have to decide. But there are surrounding cities that already have this. I know if you guys go to places like Alexandria, which I go to a lot and eat out, you see, it's like 10, 11%, bars in Alexandria, total of your meals. So that basically the argument is that it raised, 99 million, 900 million. First year, 70% would go to the school, and 30% would go to kind of all the others. So, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so basically this is going to be on the ballot for the November general election. You can register online or go to DMV or where all the voters registrations. And I already said that if passed, the city councils in Fairfax County would have to also try to approve. So Falls Church, I know where a lot of Vietnamese are. Falls Church itself would have to decide also. Okay, so that's it. So we'll have another questions and answer sessions later. And so now I would like to introduce Mr. Pat Harry, which is right. Oh, Mr. Matt Ames. Okay, from the Fairfax County Republican Committee.
Thanks very much. Is Pat here?
On his way.
On his way, okay. Do we know how, because do I need to talk for a long time or a short time?
He's not gonna try.
Okay, because I'm supposed to introduce him, but I don't want to take his thunder either, because he's going to talk a lot more about the specifics of the tax. Anyway, thank you all very much for coming, and thank you for inviting me. I want to thank my friend, Mr. Dang Tuan, for inviting me tonight and for all the work he's done. He's a member of our committee and has worked very hard to raise the awareness of the Republican Party in the Vietnamese community, and so I appreciate the chance to be here tonight. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Gang Nguyen Duc for organizing this. And Tuan has mentioned your organization a few times. I would like to have the opportunity some other time for us to talk and learn more about what you're doing. So I'm glad I've had the chance to come so we can meet and talk about that some more. And also Mr. Nguyen Ha, who's been working on behalf of the Meals Tax Coalition all around the county and brought all the materials that you see here in the back. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the Republican Party and a little bit about the meals tax, and with any luck, Supervisor Harity will get here soon, and then he's going to talk more about what he's been doing and why this is important from his perspective. When we learned early in the year, in the spring, that the tax was going to be on the ballot this year, we immediately at the Republican Party sprang into action to try to oppose it for a number of reasons. And my friend John Schwarzman is sitting in the back. I didn't expect to see him here tonight, but he's put together a lot of the materials that we've been using. We've been on Facebook and on Twitter and on our website to raise awareness about the tax. And we also have in the back, in addition to the meals tax materials, they were on your chairs. This is something that John has worked with, and either Tuan or Antudo worked with him on the Vietnamese translation. So these are the principles of the Virginia Republican Party. So we hope that you'll find these interesting, and we think that most people, when they think about it, agree with this. And that we have many more. We found that some of the churches, other religious organizations find these very useful, so we're happy to provide more at some time. If you'd like those, you can just contact us. So let me talk a little bit about the meals tax. As we mentioned earlier, it's particularly harmful to small businesses, and that's one of the reasons I appreciate the chance to be here tonight. I think many of our immigrant communities are active as small businesses, family-owned businesses, and I think that the people who are promoting the tax think that this is a tax that will only be, for the most part, affecting rich white people, because they think that they go out to dinner and they pay the tax at a fancy restaurant or something, and they don't particularly care about the effect, for example, on someone who's working at a very low wage in a restaurant, or the effect on a small business owner, a family-owned ethnic restaurant, where the whole family is working and taking home a small amount that's left over, because they don't appreciate how competitive the restaurant business is. And so if you're just basically running that business to keep your family going and making 3 or 4% that you get to take home and feed the whole family and pay your mortgage or your rent or whatever, and then the government is imposing a 4% tax on top of that, that's bound to affect how much you take home. They just don't understand, I think. In fact, one of our members sent a letter to Sharon Bolova, chairman of the Board of Supervisors, talking about how when he had been in college, he had been a waiter in a restaurant, and the city he was working in had imposed a meals tax while he was working. And he said, I was just going to college and was working to pay my tuition and to live, and my income dropped significantly when they imposed the tax. So it has a real effect on that, and we were conscious of that in a way that I don't think the people who were promoting it were. And then I don't question their motives; they want to do good things. But our position is that we all have to live on a budget. We all have to live within our means, and we don't think the county government is doing that very effectively. So we think we have a lot of shared interests with the Vietnamese community, not just on this issue, but on others as well. And again, I appreciate the chance to be here. We're working very hard to defeat this. We have been passing out the materials that you see and other materials that we produced at the back-to-school night events. If any of you have children in the public schools, we were passing things out. We're going to be passing it out we've been passing the materials out, talking to people at the farmers markets and at the festivals around the county. Our sense from talking to people is that people are opposed to the tax. Once they hear about it and they understand it, they really don't think it's a good idea. They feel, especially with the property taxes having gone up, that taxes are already high enough and that the county should not be imposing another tax now. So we're very optimistic, but we do need everybody to vote. And that's one reason why I know that on your agenda, you have voter registration on the agenda. And I'm going to keep talking until Mr. Herring gets here, or unless you tell me to stop. But yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Let's say for the worst scenario, for some reason we didn't win, we didn't make it.
Yeah.
The new tax will be imposed on the business. Do we have any other resolution to remedy that issue?
No, I mean, the time to challenge the referendum, anything related to the referendum, would have been before it went on the ballot. So once it's voted on, then it will, people will have approved it. So the only option to stop it at this point is to defeat it. I suppose I think that's the way it works, right? There's no, it's not like the board's going to vote again. It's not.
They'll vote to set the rate.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be 4%, but knowing the board of supervisors,
Right.
it most likely.
Effectively, there's nothing to be done because they clearly want to do it. And it was only believe only two voted against it on the referendum. So, out of 10 members, it was an 8-2 vote. So even if a couple of them drop off, it's still going to happen. So basically, if the people want it stopped, they have to vote, and they have to vote no. And so at the polls, when you go vote, you're often offered the sample ballot, Republican ballot or the Democratic ballot. And the Democratic ballot says to vote yes, our ballot says to vote no. And so we're encouraging everybody to take our ballot and vote no, and obviously we'd like you to vote on everything else the same way, but we're here to talk about the meals tax. So that's what we're asking everybody to do. I'm happy to take any questions, but I know you have other things on the agenda, and yes?
One other step that we could do, if heaven forbid this does pass, they will have to hold public hearings to hear the opinions from the public before they set the rate. So if it passes and they choose to put a meals tax on, we can get as many people out as possible to these public hearings to keep the rate as low as possible.
But again, we don't really want to have to do that. And theoretically, they could say a 0% rate, but once the voters have approved it, they always have the option to do it, and they can increase it later. That's another point, right? Because they can have they can say, they can approve a 2%, and then 2 years later come back and take it to 3% or 4%. So maybe we should go on with the program that Pat, I was hoping to introduce him, but okay.
I have a question.
You have the mic?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Okay.
Why don't the board of the supervisors propose the bonds like they used to raise the money for schools instead of raising the taxes on meals and things like that? That's people that don't make money, and we keep on paying tax. Where do we find the money to pay the tax?
Well, I think there are two parts to that question. There are bond issues on the ballot, although not for schools this year. But the bond issues are used for construction, building new schools, and the schools say they need the money for other purposes. One of our objections, for instance, to raise salaries, one of our objections is that the schools have not examined their programs to see whether they're really working. And we know there are a lot of problems with the programs because when you look at test results, and especially in many of the immigrant and ethnic communities, the schools are not performing as well as we think they should. But that's what really what it comes down to is salaries and pensions, retirement benefits for teachers and administrators. That's where the money is ultimately going. And so they need to take another look at a lot of their policies. And so you're right. I mean, they're basically taking that money now to pay, and my son happens to be a teacher now in Fairfax County, so I have nothing against teachers. And I have nothing against good salaries for teachers. But they're taking money now and imposing obligations that will have to be paid over time.
Well, I suggest we stick to the agenda and save all the questions and
Okay,
answers.
yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope Supervisor get clarity this evening.
Thank you, Matt. While we are waiting for Pat to come in, so the next speaker we would like to have is Mr. Bình Nguyen, the chairman of the Vietnamese American Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today and on sharing the same forum with very successful Dr. Tang, Mr. Ames, and Đức Dang and everybody. I really appreciate Đức with your organization, what you're doing. We've been talking about this for a long time, and I always going to support your associations. Now, in terms of the tax, come back to the tax bill. First of all, I want to thank you, Anh Toàn Dang, for reaching out to me. We met many months ago, and John, and today we met with Matt. And I understand the situation very well. And first of all, I think this will have a very negative impact on the small business in the community, especially the Vietnamese American and family, as Matt was saying. So I personally would say we should vote against the tax bill, because right now, business as it is not doing very well. But then when you add on a 4% tax on it, it will suffer the business tremendously. I don't know if the business will survive the next few years before the consumer begin to get used to it and actually accept the fact. But normally, you know, anything like that would happen, they will change that dramatically. And you also said it will affect the families. So I would agree with that also. So I would definitely against it. And the members of the Vietnamese American Chamber of Commerce, with all the restaurant that we own and the salon business that we're involved with, we've been sharing a lot of this. Myself, I think that Fairfax County is a very wealthy county. It probably does not need this increase. Like, you know, again, we don't have anything against school teachers or rate or all that, but it's at the moment, I think it's kind of unnecessary to do that. So I would oppose that. However, like we mentioned, in order to win this, we have to vote. Now, if we don't vote, it's, you know, the effort tonight and everything else will go to waste. It's really sad to say that, but the Vietnamese community, we need to participate more in voting. And I think one of the main reasons we don't vote because we don't think our vote matters, but it does. Vietnamese community is quite a bit here, especially in Fairfax County. And I think if every one of us who get our family, friends, and get them to vote, doesn't matter what they're voting for, right? Or who they're voting for, that doesn't matter. But at this moment, vote no for the 4% raise. But I think if you participate in voting and more in voting, a lot of problems that we're facing in this community will eventually drop or goes away. You know, our community has been really underrepresented, although there's a lot of organizations doing wonderful things. But I think that we can do a whole lot better. And if we don't vote, we don't have any power. Voting give us that power. Voting give us that privilege that you know, we risk our life to be here for. As a part of the American citizen, you know, we have to take that advantage on that. So I think if we can change with these elections, that we can bring everybody out to vote. You know, how do we do this? Maybe we ourselves, each of us, will make a commitment that we'll bring 3 or 5 people we can. That's all. That's easy, right? We can ask 3 or 5 people to join us for a coffee break or drinking or a restaurant, right? And we encourage everybody to do the same. I think the Fairfax County government and everybody else would begin to respect the Vietnamese community a whole lot more than what's going on right now, right? So that's my feel on it. So may I speak in Vietnamese with my family here.
Kính thưa các anh chị em, bà con, thì rất là cảm ơn sự có mặt đông đủ của tất cả mọi người. Ngày hôm nay là ngày thứ 5, ngay cái giờ dinner mà thấy tất cả một số anh chị em trong ngành nhà hàng ở Eden rất xa cũng có mặt ở đây, và tất cả những cô chú bác bà con ở đây có mặt là tại vì mình quan tâm tới cái cộng đồng Việt Nam. Mà em nghĩ đó, cái cộng đồng Việt Nam chúng ta có rất là nhiều vấn đề cần phải được thay đổi, tại vì mình bị ăn hiếp, mình bị đủ thứ ấy. Nhưng mà những cái vấn đề này là tại vì chúng ta không có đi bầu cử, chúng ta không có bầu thì chúng ta không có cái power đó. Thì nếu mà làm sao một cái mùa election này, tất cả những người trong phòng này và tất cả những bà con có thể đang coi trên Facebook hay là TV, mỗi người chúng ta có thể dẫn 3 hay 5 người, giống như rủ 3-5 người đi uống cà phê, đi ăn phở gì đó, mình đi bầu cử kỳ này. Và doesn't matter mình bầu cho ai nha, nhưng mà mình thấy cái cộng đồng mình đi bầu, nhưng mà điều quan trọng nhất là mình nên bầu against cái 4% này. Tại vì cái 4% tax này nó sẽ một ảnh hưởng rất lớn trong những cái business mà hiện giờ đang survive, đang rất cố gắng, nhất là ở trong Eden và những cái vùng lân cận đó các anh chị, người ta rất là khó khăn. Chúng tôi cũng rất may mắn là trong những sự tranh đấu vừa qua ở trong Eden đó là chủ nhà lần đầu tiên trong 30 năm đã giảm tiền nhà cho rất là nhiều nơi, có những nơi tới gần 50%, đúng không các bạn? Thì đó là một điều rất là vui, là những cái đó nó cũng đã work. Chúng ta cũng đã có những cái thay đổi, là chúng ta đã đi đến county, chúng ta đã đến những cái city hall và chúng ta đã nói lên những cái vấn đề người Việt Nam chúng ta đã bị ức hiếp, ăn hiếp. Cả Chief of Police của Fairfax, của Fortress City cũng đã được dời đi, và nhiều cái điều là mình đã thay đổi nó. Thì những cái việc làm đó nó rất là nhỏ. Thì gần đây chúng tôi cũng thay đổi được một cái luật ở bên Maryland, nó ảnh hưởng tới cái ngành nghề nail rất lớn, và mình cũng đang tiếp tục làm cho tiểu bang Virginia. Thì những cái này là những cái mà từng cá nhân, từng người, giống như hội đồng của anh Đức, Việt NetGen hay là Chamber of Commerce hay là cộng đồng, mọi người đóng góp như một phần. Thì tất cả những cái này nó đều có một cái kết quả tốt. Nhưng mà em nghĩ là nếu mà cộng đồng chúng ta đoàn kết để mà mình có thể mình cho họ thấy cái sức mạnh của mình là bằng là đi bầu cử. Thì nếu mà mình thấy hình như là cái mình nghĩ cái phiếu bầu của mình nó không quan trọng, vì thế nên mình không đi. Nhưng mà sự thật ra nếu mà tưởng tượng người Việt Nam chúng ta mà kéo nhau đi bầu đó, thì tất cả những cái nguyện vọng của chúng ta sau này sẽ được thay đổi nhiều. Chẳng hạn như một cái buổi họp giống như vậy của cộng đồng Việt Nam, tại sao mình phải tới đây? Tại sao mình phải tới một cái trung tâm của người Do Thái à? Tại sao mình không có cái cộng đồng riêng của mình? Một cái phòng nhỏ bé này mình không đóng góp được sao? Thì em thấy những cái chuyện đó, nếu mà mình có những cái thay đổi, thì một ngày rất là gần đây chúng ta sẽ có một cái trung tâm riêng của chúng ta do người Việt Nam, cho thế hệ hiện tại và thế hệ mai sau. Thì hiện giờ trong cộng đồng em thấy có rất là nhiều điều mà cần thay đổi. Những người lớn tuổi, những bậc cha ông của mình đi qua đây cực khổ làm lụng, và bây giờ tới cái tuổi retire, mà bây giờ khi mà người ta vô nhà dưỡng lão đó, người ta phải ăn những cái đồ ăn mà cái cơ thể người ta không có chịu nổi. Mấy anh chị lâu lâu mà mới đi cruise, đi Trung Quốc hay lên tàu, mấy anh chị chơi một tuần đó, mấy anh chị ăn đồ trên tàu, mấy anh chị đã khó chịu rồi đúng không? Cơ thể của mình nó có quen, và tưởng tượng mình bị ép ăn những cái món đó cho tới ngày mình chết thì nó đau khổ thế chừng nào. Và sự thật là như vậy, đúng không? Hoặc là những thế hệ trẻ sau này không có nơi sinh hoạt, tiếng Việt Nam không biết, mình tiếp tục được. Thì em nghĩ là mọi người chúng ta đều đóng góp vô. Tuy nhiên chúng ta mỗi người có một cái quan điểm khác nhau thì không sao, nhưng mà có những cái quan điểm chung là chúng ta là những người cùng nhau ở trong cái cộng đồng này, và cùng nhau bảo vệ cái cộng đồng này, mỗi người bỏ một tay vô thì mọi chuyện nó sẽ thay đổi. Dạ, anh xin cảm ơn bà con rất nhiều.
Thank you, G. That was a great talk, very heart to heart, touching with the community. While we are waiting for Mr. Harity coming, so right now we have the Q&A section. The format is any question can either if you ask in English and give us some time so we can translate to Vietnamese. And,
nếu anh mình có thể trở lại nói tiếng Việt về cái
Em có thể em nói chị.
tại vì hồi nãy mình nhảy cái tiếng Việt. Dạ đúng.
And I would like to take the opportunity when Matt is here, and we have a few more associates, that's very knowledgeable about the county. Take a chance, first shot to answer this question. Any questions down there? Yeah.
My name is Mary Ray. I think that I know most of you in the community. There's one thing that I maybe put emphasis on the fact that Ben said you can vote to anybody, vote any party, anybody, but you can see that the Democratic Party put it on the ballot, not the Republican Party. So if you vote, you should vote Republican in order to get it.
My question is, Matt, do you want to come up here to answer the question?
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. And I might be asking, Erica Dye is in the back, and she works for Supervisor Harity, so she may be answering more of the questions than I am, but if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them about the meals tax. Yes, sir.
The question is, most of the money, if the meal tax is approved, will go to public school improvement. What's wrong with Fairfax public school system right now? That they need more money than they already have.
Well, that's a very good point. What the referendum says is that 70% of the money will go to the schools and 30% will go to capital improvements and other needs of the county government itself. Now, there are really 2 points related to that. One is you make a very good point, I think, that this is, and someone mentioned earlier, this is a wealthy county, and the schools get a great deal of money. They get roughly half of the total county budget goes to the schools every year. And so one would think that, well over $1 billion, that's with a B, would be enough to run the school system. And that's one of the points that Supervisor Harity in different ways makes, because he can't say it quite that way. And certainly many of us believe that the school system could do a better job. One of the things that's important here is that the school system for many years resisted hiring an auditor to examine the effectiveness of their programs. In other words, they're spending X dollars on this and Y dollars on that, but they don't really know if the programs are working. And they finally hired an auditor to do that, and then within a few months, the auditor was put on leave, and they haven't explained why. So we don't know why this person is not working, and so that whole situation is very strange. But the fundamental point is that they have no process for making sure they're really spending the money wisely. Now, they say they want to raise salaries, and everyone agrees that teachers should be paid well. As I mentioned earlier, I want my son to be paid well, and I'd like him to move back up here and get paid well. But at the same time, and that is the main driver, is salaries and especially pensions. Those are the two things that are really driving what the school systems say they need. Now, the other part of it, though, is when we talk about the 70% and the 30%, is that it's not really true that it's 70% is going to go to the schools. What is true is that the school system will submit its request to the Board of Supervisors, and then the Board of Supervisors will have to decide how much money to give to the school system, which is the same process they go through every year, but they're going to set a number, and that number will include some, but the meals tax revenue really just goes into the county general fund. So it's not as if there's a set budget amount that the county schools will get, and they automatically get, let's say it's $1 billion. We know they're going to get $1 billion, and they get 70% of 99 million or whatever the tax brings in. They're going to get what they ask for minus whatever the board decides not to give them anyway. So that's public relations is really all it is. And here he is. So, so I think actually Supervisor Harity should take the questions because he can answer them better than anybody. Let me quickly introduce him, and is that okay with you? Or
would you give Supervisor Harity some time to...
No, he doesn't need it. No. Okay, well, because I'm answering questions which you can answer better, so... Yeah. So come on up. And so anyway, if you don't know Pat Harity, he's the Springfield District Supervisor, and he was one of the 2 votes against putting the meals tax referendum on the ballot. He's been going all around Fairfax County opposing the tax. They've had a little presentation on it. and I think they pretty much know the deal, but whatever you want to say, and then I was answering a few questions. So please welcome Supervisor Harity one more time.
Well, thank you very much, and I apologize for being late. I'm going to take maybe 2 minutes to give you 2 or 3 minutes to tell you why I think this thing is a really, really bad idea. And then I'd be happy to take questions, especially ones on spending and how we need to get our spending under control, instead of just putting another $100 million tax on top of the $100 million we already passed this year. First of all, this isn't really a meals tax. It's not a tax on white tablecloth restaurants. It's a food tax. Something on your dinner table tonight is likely subject to this tax. Whether that's the rotisserie chicken, the potato salad, you name it. You go to the grocery store, if it's a prepared food, it's taxed. You go to Starbucks to get your coffee, it's taxed. You get a fountain soda at 7-Eleven, it's taxed at 10%. And it's a 10% tax. It's 4% on top of the 6% sales tax for a total tax of 10%. There's actually legislation, Matt, I don't even know if you know this, there's legislation that's been proposed to take it from 4 cents to 8 cents. So it may not stop at 4 cents. The other thing is it's a single industry tax. It impacts the restaurant industry, which, in the restaurant and prepared food industry is so critical. How many times have you gone to a community event that hasn't had a restaurant participate and help sponsor it? So it's the restaurant industry, profits in the restaurant industry are 3%, and we're going to tax them at 4%. It doesn't make any sense. I've already talked about it's a $100 million tax on top of $100 million that we've already levied this year. And like I said, if you ask me about spending, I'll tell you why and where I think we can really get our spending under control. The last thing that I will hit on is that it's a regressive tax. This isn't about restaurant owners. This is about the people that work in the restaurants. It's about the single moms, the two-wage earner family that don't have time to go home and make meals. They rely on prepared meals. It's about the elderly. It's about people that, how hard is it to cook for one? It's the single people out there that would rather stop at a restaurant than try to make a meal for one. It is a regressive tax. Washington Post, I don't often quote them, but they say it's regressive tax, and it's a really bad idea. So I hope I didn't double cover everything that Matt covered, but I again apologize. It's been a busy night. I've been all over the place over the last week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 talking about the meals tax. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. Yeah, sure.
This $99 million goal, once they reach $100 million, will they stop or does it keep going, keep growing? And then the second question is, Alexandria and Berlin and other municipalities have had the tax. Have we done any studies on how they cope?
Well, the favorite line of the people that are supporting the meals tax is that everybody's got a meals tax. Well, the truth is, only 21% of the population in Northern Virginia live in jurisdictions that have a meals tax. Only 21%. It's less than a quarter of the people in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is basically Alexandria, Arlington, Fairfax County, Prince William, and Loudoun County, and all the jurisdictions within there. Oh, less than a quarter have a meals tax. 75% don't, and none of them have a meals tax that was passed by referendum. So that's kind of the first thing. Everybody else doesn't have one. The other side also likes to say, well, the restaurant industry should have a study. This is an industry that has 3% profit margins. They don't have a lot of money to throw around on studies. I know the school system has plenty of money because they went out and spent thousands of dollars to do a study at GMU on the economic impact of schools on the county, but the industry really doesn't have the money to go out and do studies. And you asked the other important question is, where does it stop? This is maybe a one-year solution because it may grow a little bit as the population grows in Northern Virginia, but it's a one-time hit, except now they have legislation proposed to take it from 4% to 8%, so they're going to double it and make it a $200 million tax instead of a $100 million tax, potentially. I mean, it has to pass, and I don't think it will pass, but it may pass. I know you had a question.
It was just a rhetorical question, but it's not a question, it's a comment.
Okay.
It's a common sense that we understand everything. that is going to impact all of us, the residents here, negatively. Why don't they see it?
Because they're not
What was
ready.
the trigger point that they decided they're going to increase the?
Well, let me tell you what the trigger point is. The trigger point is, and this has actually been talked about. We did the meals tax study about 3 years ago, and they decided not to put it on the ballot. Then they decided not to put it on the ballot. They've held off putting it on the ballot, but they have taxed people so much over the last 5 years. I mean, taxes have gone up 25% in the last 5 years, 7% last year alone. We're looking at unless we do something, we're looking at a $135 million deficit in schools next year and a $75 million deficit in, $75 million on the county side. So they didn't see any options because they're not willing to do the hard work. Now, let me tell you what the hard work is, because the hard work really comes on spending. And I'll ask everybody in the room, how many of you all could retire at 55 with a pension? Retire at 55 with a pension. Okay, now if you work for the county and school system, you can retire with a pension. And I don't want to take it away from the ones that currently have it, because we promised it to them, so I'm not for taking that away. But you know, we're all living way past that. Well, let me keep going. So you retire at 55 with a pension. How many get county paid Social Security on top of the pension until they reach Social Security age? Anybody?
Nobody.
See, if you work for the county or the school system, you would also get a Social Security supplement. You would get county paid Social Security until you get to 67 years old. And then how many of you got a 3% increase in your Social Security this year? Well, if you were getting the county Social Security supplement, you would. But if you're on regular Social Security this year was zero. It was a 0% increase. So these are all benefits that in no other surrounding jurisdiction, the other ones do have pensions, but they don't have the Social Security supplement. That's 6% you could increase teachers' salaries if you were to eliminate the Social Security supplement for new teachers. And you need to do it for new teachers. You can't take a benefit away that you promised, but we really need to get the spending, and that's a hard decision. So it's hard to, it's not an easy thing to do, especially when all the unions don't like it and they're going to fight you on it. But you have to look at what's sustainable. And right now, you know, pensions with the Social Security supplement just aren't sustainable when people are living longer and working longer. And I don't want to ask you as taxpayers that have to work to 65 and 67 and 75, whatever it is, I don't want to ask you to work so that you can pay taxes so that you can fund somebody else's retirement at 55, because everybody's working past 55 these days. So that's just one example of spending, and I could give you a few more if you want to hear them.
Before you came in, there was a question about why 70% going towards schools, and I thought you might want to address that.
You know, I try to be a pretty straight shooter, but 70% of this they say is going to schools, and the reason the language says 70% is going to schools is pretty simple, and I'll quote two supervisors. I'm going to leave them both nameless, but I'll kind of name one. One supervisor says we have to put whatever language in it takes to get it passed, and that was said in public forum at a committee meeting. And the budget chair says, well, these languages, the ones that the counties across the state that use language that says it is going to schools passed, and if they didn't say it was going to schools, it didn't pass. So our language has to say it's going to schools. So that's why the 70% to school is in there, they think it'll give it a better chance of passing. Now in reality, the 70 million from this will probably go to schools. But we're going to decide in April how much money we're going to give to schools. We gave them $2 billion last year. If we give them, in April, we'll decide whether we give them less than that, or whether we give them more than that, or the same as that. Odds are we're going to give them a little more than that. But that decision's made in April. So this 70 isn't necessarily an additional 70, but this 70 will go to schools. But it's all fungible. Yes?
Yes. Okay, this is off topic a little bit.
Okay.
Don't the counties get the money from the federal for the school? Why can't they use that money for the school? Why do we have, I mean, like, our children go to the school here. I know that we,
That's not off topic. Let me just talk a little bit about school funding.
okay,
The vast majority of our school budget comes from Fairfax County.
right,
Schools are a state responsibility.
okay.
They're not a federal responsibility. The federal government puts some requirements on us and some mandates, and if we want to get some money from them, they put it on there. Every education dollar you send down to Richmond, we get 21 cents back.
Okay.
So we send a lot of money as Fairfax County in Northern Virginia down to Richmond, and it gets spread over to a bunch of different school systems. So we get a little bit of funding, I think it's about 25% roughly of the school funding comes from the state. And the rest of it is really county, and there's a little bit of federal money in there as well. But the bulk of it is funded by Fairfax County taxpayers. Now, if you go to a poorer jurisdiction, the bulk of it is funded by the state. It's funded by our money that goes down there. But you want to have consistent school systems, and that's why it's done that way. And I can argue 25 cents on the dollar is too little, and it is too little. But I can't argue that we need to help the other parts of the state a little bit. Maybe not as much as we are.
Thank you.
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. You know, we're going to have the vote for this November 8th, right? On the
Yes.
ballot. On the Republican and on the Democrat also, or just on the Democrat only and Republican, they don't put that on the vote?
Now, everybody gets to vote on it. So everybody votes whether you're Republican or Democrat.
Okay, I just want to confirm that for sure.
Yeah.
Because like I just hear earlier, Miss Mary Chase say on the Republican ballot, they don't have that for vote, you know. I just want to confirm for sure. Republican, the vote, they have it, and Democrats have it as well, right?
Now, everybody has, in Virginia, everybody has the same ballot.
Okay.
If you live in the same congressional district,
Yeah.
it varies by congressional district, but everybody will have the same ballot. Now, where there is a difference is the Republican sample ballot will say that you should vote no.
Yeah.
The Democratic sample ballot will say you should vote yes. But let me tell you the secret, is that we did a survey, you know, a valid survey, and Republicans overwhelmingly are opposed to the tax. Independents are overwhelmingly against the tax. Democrats are also against the tax, but just by a little bit. So most Democrats actually oppose this tax. It was 60% to 28%. And that's why we need to, that's one of the reasons we need to get out and defeat it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to translate for quick Việt Nam. Cái câu hỏi của Hana đó là ngày 10 tháng 8, 11 tháng 8, tháng 11, ngày 8 đến tháng 11 này mình sẽ đi bầu. Nhưng mà cái ballot này nó có cả hai bên party là Cộng hòa và Dân chủ. Nhưng mà chúng ta bất cứ mình đi bầu cho đảng nào cũng được, nhưng mà mình phải vote là no để cái này nó không thành sự, không thành cái luật. Đó là cái câu nói của Hana. Thank you.
Thank you. I think. Yes.
Could I translate what you just say in Vietnamese, because a lot of Vietnamese, some Vietnamese don't quite understand.
Absolutely. You want to do that right now?
Dạ thưa quý vị,
Don't need to.
cô Hana mới hỏi đó rằng là đó nếu mà khi mà mình vote no đó cho cái việc mà tăng thuế 4% đó, thì cái ba lông đó, cái câu hỏi đó đó là chỉ có ở phía đảng Cộng hòa hay là cả Dân chủ nữa, thì ông đã trả lời rằng là đó Cộng hòa, Dân chủ đều đưa cái câu hỏi đó ra, nhưng mà ở dưới đó nó có một cái dòng chữ nhỏ. Cái dòng chữ nhỏ đó về phía Cộng hòa đó thì họ nói là quý vị nên vote no, và ở phía đảng Dân chủ đó thì đó họ để là quý vị nên vote yes. Okay. Tuy nhiên điều đó không có nghĩa là khi quý vị muốn vote no là quý vị phải lấy nguyên một cái package, tức là quý vị phải chọn từ ông tổng thống, ông thượng nghị sĩ tới ông dân biểu là phải Cộng hòa không. Quý vị có thể bầu cho một vị tổng thống dân chủ, một ông dân biểu, nhưng mà quý vị sẽ chọn về dự luật này quý vị sẽ vote no. Theo như người đàn ông lịch thiệp đẹp trai này nói đó, thì rằng đó đa số Cộng hòa, gần như là 99% những người Cộng hòa đều đó là sẽ vote no. Nhưng mà ở phía Dân Chủ đó thì cũng đa số vote no, là 68% là vote no. Thành ra đó, quý vị không cần phải chọn một cái package, quý vị có thể lấy cái này và lấy những cái điều khác. Đó là cái mà Bích Hà muốn dịch lại.
Thank you. Are there any other questions on the meals tax here?
One of the concern that one of the minority senior citizens have, they don't know the lingo very well. So is there, a separate package in Spanish, in Chinese, in Vietnamese for the minority senior?
Yes, I know we have translated, and I'm going to look in the back. I know we translated into a number of different languages.
We have Vietnamese and Korean.
Yeah. So yeah, we do have those in Vietnamese and Korean.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? All right. A quick one more thing on the ballot, just to talk about the ballot for a minute. Has anybody talked about the ballot? What it looks like? So, and everybody always forgets this, and it's very important. And you raised a very good question, because you need to be prepared when you go in, because there are a lot of questions on there with a lot of language. So the ballot starts with the president, and then there's your congressional representative, and in the 11th district there isn't an opponent there. And then the next are the two state ballot questions. Right to work is the second one. The first one, the first ballot question asked if you want to give the counties the ability to provide property tax relief to the spouse of a firefighter or a police officer or public safety that died in the line of duty. We gave that to the military. So if you believe in that, which I do, then I think you vote yes on that, or you can vote no. That's my personal opinion, but everybody gets to choose. The second one is right to work, which I think is a very important one to vote yes. And that's one that protects Virginia's right to work laws. Means you won't be forced to join a union. And then the next question is the meals tax question.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about the right to work?
It basically puts Virginia's right to work laws into the Constitution. It's already in the law, but it puts it into the Constitution where it would be harder to take out. There have been some challenges on our right to work law. And what they want to do is try to put it in the Constitution so that those challenges will be a lot harder to do if it's in the Virginia State Constitution. So what it does is protect you from being forced to organize and forced to join a union. And there's the meals tax, which is that makes it the fifth thing on the ballot. So you have President, Congress, 2 constitutional amendments, and then there's 3 bond issues. And the 3 bond issues are, there's a transportation issue, there's a public safety issue. What's the third one?
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. So those are the 3 different bond issues. And those you want to read before you get there, because it's kind of hard when you're sitting in line waiting to vote to go through. So I will tell you very definitely you need to know what to do on number 5, which is the meals tax, and vote no. And then you make up your mind on the rest of them, although I told you how I felt on them.
Is it still an expected schools budget shortfall, and so are they going to do a bond to address that?
Well, see, the shortfalls are operating, so you can't do a bond to address shortfalls. Bonding, they do the bonding for long-term capital improvements to build schools and to renovate schools. But you don't borrow money to pay for the current operating expenses. So they're separate. The 135 million shortfall is thank you very much. So the 135 is an operating shortfall, and then the bond We don't have a schools bond this time, but we have them
So
every other year.
that's gonna get addressed in April when they submit the budget.
Yes, that's when that'll happen.
So does the meal tax, does it have any relevance to the shortfall at all?
No.
Yeah, well, I'm asking because some people are making that argument where
Well, they're gonna say this is for teacher raises, and it's not for teachers' raises. I mean, if you look at the 135 million, less than half of it goes to teacher raises. So it's, we're gonna decide in April how much schools get, and, it's the school board needs to prioritize and put it into teachers' raises. And they need to address the Social Security supplement issues and the pension issues. And until they do that, we're gonna continue to have shortfalls and deficits. So, and we do need to get more money from the state. We need to do it smart. We need to do it so we don't get it 21 cents on a dollar, we get it dollar for dollar back, and we need to ask the federal government for money, because the federal government, we need help from them too. Anybody else? No?
What you just shared with us in terms of the ballot, itemization, where can we find this information? I would like to post that on the website, for my constituent.
You've got the ballot on the FCRC website, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you want to give them the
It's fairfaxgop.org.
fairfaxgop.org. And do you have that translated on the website too? Okay.
Okay, yeah, I got that.
Okay, it's fairfaxgop.org. Any other questions?
Where do you get the information about how the county spend taxpayer money?
That is on our website. We actually, one of my initiative has been a transparency initiative, and our checkbook is online. You can go to Fairfax County and Department of Management and Budget, and you can actually, they have some very good charts and graphs. In the process now of working with a group called OpenGov that will actually be even easier to use than what we have on there now, but you can actually go in and see what vendors we're paying and all that. All the research you want to do, you can do online into the budget. You were going to say something, Erica? Well, yes, in the Heritage Report, if you want to hear about the budget, I regularly write about the budget in the Heritage Report, and you can sign up for that in the back.
Can you see that at the Fairfax County.gov, like that you have budget, how they spend, how much money they asking and how they spend the money, financial statement, that's it.
Well, the audited financial statements are online too.
Okay.
Now, when I answered the question I just answered, I answered it for Fairfax County government. I did not answer it for the school system. It is a lot harder to find out how the school system is spending its money. Their website is not anywhere near as transparent or as easy to use as ours is. So we're going to see what we can do about fixing that. But the county budget is there for you to see.
This is somewhat relevant. Last year, Fairfax County Public Schools started a Vietnamese language program at Falls Church High School. I know Mr. Maddings, talked about the effectiveness of, and then hiring an auditor, the effectiveness of the schools and not spending this money. So that would be a very good thing if we can see how the school is spending its budget. But I think we as a Vietnamese American community also would like an expansion of that program. Show how we go about asking for the county within the budget.
Again, that would be a school board issue, because the school board would be the one that would expand it. You talked about the auditor to the school board. That was something the Board of Supervisors pushed. But our auditor to the school board has been on paid administrative leave since June for unknown reasons.
So are you guys bringing him back, or?
Well, they don't work for us, they work for the school board. So we're all wondering why she is on paid administrative leave for several months.
So is there only one auditor, or is that?
There is one auditor that reports to the school board, which is supposedly the independent auditor that's supposed to look out. It's not supposed to work for the city. Other auditor, and there are a couple of other auditors, but they work for the superintendent. And that's like having the fox watch the chicken house, so to speak. So it doesn't work very well. So this is the independent one, and they're on paid administrative leave.
But the school board actually go to the supervisor board to ask for funding, right? So you
Yeah.
can actually have the, what do you call it, the state to kind of say, hey, unless you satisfy my question, we won't approve this. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's hard to do. We do that. That's how we ended up with an auditor to the school board, is that we said we really want you to have one, and they kept saying no, and we kept asking questions about the budget. But you know, I wish it was as easy as withholding money, but you have to make the decision as to how much you're gonna send.
But I'm not talking about giving them the money, I'm talking about giving them the approval to go ahead with the Levi,
Giving the approval to.
to approve the Levi referendum.
Yeah, that was a county decision. So
So ultimately, the county school board came to the supervisor board, right? Said, okay, hey, we would like to have this Levi referendum here. But you guys, when you review that, you say, okay, hey, look, we want you to finish the audit of the book, but they didn't finish that. So why would the board allow that to move forward without satisfying?
you'd have to ask the board majority. Remember, there was a Republican and Democrat that voted against putting this on the ballot. So it wasn't a partisan issue, but there were a couple of us that are fiscal conservatives that just said without the transparency, we shouldn't do this. But the majority of the board decided to put this on the ballot. So I agree with you. That's what we should, you know, we need to have a lot more transparency in the school budget. But I'm one of a few. All right, I want to thank everybody for their attention, and I apologize again for being late. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the community, we would like to thank you, all the representatives from the county, and hope you have a really good evening. We still have some food and some refreshment, over there, so please feel free to help yourself. Sẵn nhân dịp đây chúng ta có rất nhiều đại diện của các hội đoàn ở đây, thì chúng tôi muốn nhân cơ hội này để chúng ta có một cái thảo luận nhỏ nhỏ. Hello. Hey. Có những vị lãnh đạo trong cộng đồng ở đây, chúng ta nên thảo luận làm sao để cho cái mùa bầu cử này cái statistics của người Việt Nam mình đăng ký đi bầu sẽ được cao hơn. Bởi vì dựa theo con số này mà các dân nghị họ sẽ lắng nghe theo cái nguyện vọng của người Việt Nam mình. Anh Thắng đã có một cái bài nói rất là hay. Mà sẵn đây có cô Bích Hà, anh Long và anh Bình và một số người khác, chúng ta có thể bàn lại với nhau. Anh Tuấn, mình có thể bàn với nhau để khuyến khích người Việt Nam chúng ta đi bầu. Tại vì bữa nay nếu mà mình không có một cái kế hoạch gì khi mọi người đứng lên ra rồi thì ngày mai mình quên hết.
Mấy anh Thắng trước khi mà he left, he had an idea. He asked me to go ahead and talk to you guys here. His idea was like.
Anh có thể lên đây anh nói. Anh nói cái gì không? Ở đây là một cái buổi thảo luận, người ta gọi là friendly discussion. Mình là tất cả mọi người là trong gia đình, để coi như là trong gia đình. Đây là anh chị em trong nhà. Thành ra các anh chị, các cô bác cứ tự nhiên.
Nãy anh Thắng, anh Nguyễn Thắng á, trước khi anh rời cái phòng họp anh có nói anh suggest một cái couple ideas. Nói về cho anh Đức với lại mấy anh cái leader của cái. Nãy anh Thắng trước khi mà anh về nhà đó thì anh nói là giờ anh nói chuyện với anh Đức và những cái người mà lãnh đạo trong cộng đồng đó, anh có hai cái idea anh muốn share. Anh nói là để mà khuyến khích người Việt Nam đi bầu á, thì how about the idea of how we make cái chủ nhà hàng like hey, if you vote you get to vote, stick it here, you go in, you got like a 10% off, that's some idea and the second idea was Đấy, những người mình nghe, những người mình nói chuyện đó thì đi bầu đó, cái cuộc đi bầu thì nếu mình cho những người mà trẻ như là như là quý họ như là what's the most quý trẻ we understand cái chuyện này, nhưng mà những người mà lớn tuổi chút xíu nữa đó thì sẽ những người lớn tuổi chút xíu nữa thì có lẽ mình đang thấy như là hơi lo sợ đi bầu tại đâu nó rất khó hiểu. Ok, những người mà nếu mình có người trẻ tuổi đó thì người ta đi bầu người ta cảm thấy tự nhiên lắm, tại vì thật sự mà đọc một cái báo đó rất là khó. I know that because I vote a few times, okay, and like it's complicated. You have to really know what's going on to vote it right. Nhưng mà cho những người lớn tuổi đó thì I think là maybe cộng đồng này đó mình tổ chức những kiểu mà before we go to action about it, how many những người mà lớn tuổi mình tập làm hỏi ngày hôm nay mình chỉ người ta đi bầu làm sao, những cái câu hỏi trong cái lá phiếu mình là làm sao mình có thể mình giải thích trước khi ngày đi bầu để người ta đi bầu người ta không cảm thấy là sợ hãi. That's my idea. Actually, it's not my idea. And Thang's idea.
Ý kiến đó rất là hay, nhưng mà cái chuyện này thì cần sự phối hợp của cộng đồng. Xin hỏi các vị đại diện cho cộng đồng có thể dẫn đầu cái action này không?
Dạ thưa quý vị, như Bích Hà nói đó là vào một thời gian rất gần thì cộng đồng sẽ tổ chức những cuộc nói chuyện trên đài truyền thanh và truyền hình, và sẽ giải thích ngoài cái dự luật về tăng thuế 4% trên những đồ ăn và thức uống đã chế biến đó, thì sẽ nói về những cái câu hỏi khác, chẳng hạn như những câu hỏi là chúng ta miễn thuế cho những quả phụ của những người quân nhân hoặc là những người cảnh sát đã hy sinh trong khi thi hành công vụ hay không. Đó là những kỳ này sẽ có 5 câu hỏi. Thành ra khi chúng ta đi bầu kỳ này đó thì chúng ta sẽ đi bầu tổng thống, chúng ta sẽ đi bầu thượng nghị sĩ và dân biểu, chúng ta sẽ đi bầu người thống đốc. Ngoài ra thì chúng ta sẽ có 5 câu hỏi và chúng ta sẽ chọn, thì cộng đồng sẽ gắng sức để mà đưa 5 câu hỏi đó lên trên truyền thanh và truyền hình để cho quý vị có thể có một cái ý niệm trước cái ngày 8 tháng 11 này. Dạ thưa cảm ơn quý vị.
Xin hỏi chị là cộng đồng là bầu against hay là bầu for cái cách chị muốn nói rõ?
Dạ thưa, giống như Bích Hạ nói lúc nãy khi mà bắt đầu đó, chúng ta đã thấy những cái ưu và khuyết điểm của cái dự luật này. Cái ưu điểm là chúng ta có thêm tiền cho trường học, cho thầy giáo, xây dựng nhà cửa, đường xá. Nhưng mà ngược lại đó, chúng ta có khuyết điểm. Cái khuyết điểm của dự luật này đó là chúng ta là những người trung lưu và những người nghèo đó và những người mà không có nấu nướng, tại vì chỉ có một người nấu nướng hoặc là đi làm cực khổ đi về mua thức ăn làm sẵn đó, thì sẽ là cái người ảnh hưởng nhiều nhất. Bích Hạ là một trong những người đó. Để thành ra cái quyền quyết định đó là quý vị.
Không phải, em hỏi chị đại diện cộng đồng.
Dạ.
Mình biết cộng đồng bầu yes or no cho cái trường hợp này. Mình hiểu cái what's going on. Mình muốn biết đại diện cộng đồng, mình đại diện cho cái cộng đồng này đúng không?
Dạ.
Thì mình thấy cái khác như vậy mình nói là yes or no chứ.
Dạ thưa, cộng đồng á, luôn luôn hỗ trợ và đứng về phía để bảo vệ cái quyền lợi của những người đồng hương của mình. Thành ra, dạ thưa vâng.
Chúng tôi xin có một ý kiến nữa là nếu như quý vị muốn hiểu rõ đàng hoàng đó thì cộng đồng ít nhất đó, phải dịch ra cái sample ballot và có những cái đó dịch ra tiếng Việt Nam để cho người ta hiểu, thì như vậy người ta mới hiểu, người ta mới đi bầu. Cái luật gì cũng được, có 5 cái điểm trong đó, những cái đó là cái tốt nhất.
Tôi có ý kiến mà tôi ví dụ như nếu mà là tôi đi bầu thì tôi không có biết tiếng Anh nhiều đó, tôi vô tôi chỉ biết là ông tổng thống với lại người nào đặt tên, còn nói về vấn đề mà bầu cái này có nọ kia mình đâu có đọc.
Dạ thưa
Sao mà mình bầu được cái gì đâu.
Dạ thưa chị, em vừa mới nói đó là cộng đồng sẽ gắn có một buổi nói chuyện trên truyền thanh và truyền hình và sẽ nói về 5 câu hỏi đó để cho quý vị có thể có ý niệm là 5 câu hỏi đó là gì để mà quý vị có thể chọn. Chúng tôi chỉ có thể đó là cho quý vị biết 5 câu hỏi đó là như thế nào, còn cái quyền quyết định là của quý vị, chứ cộng đồng không có quyền quyết định, hoặc là cộng đồng không có quyền khuyến khích quý vị là trả lời như thế nào.
Kính thưa quý vị, buổi họp sẽ xin được chấm dứt tại đây. Xin quý vị xin chúc quý vị luôn bình an.
Có ghi danh vào luôn.
Đó nó nói với những người trên bầu cử là có cái tờ